I'm Scott Weatherly, and welcome to 20th Century Geek. We're going to be doing a bit of a Christmas special. This is a bit of off the cuff, really, so we're going to be putting this out there. But I'm joined by the ever-present Mike Kennedy.
Hello. Hello.
And today, we're going to be going to see Rogue One.
And you're joined also by David Bowie. How are you then, Scott? Are you all right there? Are you coming down to my labyrinth today?
So, it's a completely other thing, and we're going to be talking about Rogue One and Star Wars in a minute. But can I go to another franchise?
Yeah, go on.
Did you see in the news recently, and this isn't even 20th century, so I'm just going to cover it, David Bowie was approached to be Gandalf before Ian McKellen.
Really?
Yeah, apparently
you would
so.
have been good, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I want you to find the ring.
Yeah.
Bring it back
over
to me. Yeah. Bring it back to me as quick as you can.
It would have been a very different interpretation of Gandalf.
It would have been, yes. Find the ring, Frodo, before it's too late.
Would he have worn tight trousers?
He would have.
Sort of like, it'd have been basically...
You remind me of the Hobbit.
Yeah.
The Hobbit with the ring.
Jareth in Lord of the Rings.
It would have been awesome. I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, why did he turn it down?
I think it was just time commitment. Because they committed like 2 or 3 years to the whole project, didn't they? I don't think he put that much time to it. So
it would have been brilliant. I just bought the Man Who Fell to Earth very, very limited edition 3000 ever made box set.
I've seen it. The multi-disc set.
There's only 3000 in circulation.
Yeah.
So
I've not ever seen that film.
That's great. You have to come around and watch it.
It's a film we'll have to do. I really will.
So I got that, and I've got the 30th anniversary edition of You Remind Me of the Babe.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's the edition.
Ultra 4 HD.
I haven't got the HD. I haven't got the 4K one, but I've got the anniversary edition upstairs. Fantastic film that is.
So I just want to do David Bowie impression for some reason.
No, go for it. I'm happy. It's Christmas.
Hello.
It's festive.
My name's David. I was just moved down the road. Can I sing Drummer Boy with you?
Thing is, right, David Bowie, when he did talk like that, it was fine. When you do it and looking at you, there's a slightly sinister edge to it. So,
what are you trying to say, Scott?
Yeah, I'm won't be turning.
See, my ideal Christmas.
Be turning my back on.
My ideal Christmas would be a Christmas dinner with David Bowie and Tom Hardy, and probably Danny Dyer. They'd be my 3 guests around a Christmas table. Hello there. How you doing there? How you doing there, Danny? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm sorted. I'm all right. Yeah, go pass the turkey, Hardy. Then you'll have Tom Hardy there with the turkey going, well, it's turkey, it is. It's one of those things, and it's a fucking turkey, isn't it? That's what
he puts the mask on.
He put the mask on.
Bane. Yeah.
Oh! Anyway, sorry. What were we talking about again?
Star Wars.
So
Another completely different franchise.
Right.
So today we're going to go see Rogue One. Yeah. And we haven't seen it yet. I've
seen Rogue 2.
I have tried to stay away from... I've seen one trailer.
Yeah.
And I've tried to avoid all like behind the scenes features. I've avoided all the TV spots and all that kind of stuff. I know very little about this.
See, I need to go in there with an open mind.
Yeah.
But I'm already going in there with an opinion. And that's the problem I have with this today. Is because I think that I thought the story had been told with 1 to 6. So I didn't want to see number 7. Saw number 7 and thought, it's a good story, but it's basically A New Hope told again.
It was a soft reboot. It was to bring new people in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very good. Brilliant. I mean, JJ did a brilliant job. We're not talking about our former ref, JJ. That
no. That's weird.
Yeah. But this one, Gareth Edwards.
Yeah.
Nuneaton born.
He is actually. That's very true.
Nuneaton man. And I don't know. I don't think... Do we need to have the breach between the Clone Wars and A New Hope? Do we need to tell that story?
I don't... This is the thing. It's a good point. Like, is it a step too far? And that played on my... When I first saw this announced, it's much like the Han Solo individual film. I'm still very much on the fence around that.
Yeah, I don't even want to see that.
Danny...
Harrison Ford is Han Solo.
Yeah.
End of story. You know?
Yeah. Donald Glover. I don't know if you've ever seen Community or anything else Donald Glover's been in. I love Donald Glover. Really funny guy. Him as Lando Calrissian. I think that'd be great. Don't know about the kid who's playing Han Solo. But I agree. You've got what they call the saga, don't you? The Skywalker saga, or the main, at the moment, the 7 films. The 4 films. prequels are just going to not even fit.
Yeah, they didn't make any prequels. What are you talking about?
So you've got those films. They've got the main saga, and now they're doing these a Star Wars story. And when I read it,
but it's not. It's a Star Wars 3.5. That's all there is.
It's going to be. Yeah,
if it was a Star Wars story,
it's got none of the main characters in it. Well, I don't know. This is the thing. I don't know. I've heard there are cameos, and I don't know how that works because obviously it's set before A New Hope. So I'm fascinated to see what.
Well, they're building the Death Star, so Peter Cushing's got to be in it.
Well, apparently, I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know what that cameo is. Is it just sort of like voiceover, or is it? It'd be interesting to see how they've done that. But I never saw the Clone Wars cartoons. I haven't seen Rebels. You know, I'm not that much of a Star Wars fan that I'm a completist. I haven't got to see everything. But when they were like, oh no, this is the story of how they got the Death Star plans before A New Hope. Yeah, there was a bit of a tickling, but they were still like, oh yeah, but it could be interesting. Like, it's that thing of it so focuses on the main story when there is clearly other stuff going on. This rebellion is not the Skywalker rebellion, is it? So it's no. It existed before him and it exists, after him, sort of thing. So I'm intrigued by the idea, but I still do think, is it a step too far?
Yeah,
is it saturation?
I'm not sure what. See, a Star Wars story would be great, if it was like, bounty hunters, the story of the bounty hunters and where they came from, the origins of them.
So completely distance it from
and it becomes a story then of Star Wars as opposed to being a story within the story of Star Wars.
You would rather it be a story that exists within the Star Wars universe, but isn't even tethered to. So a story of like Boba Fett hunting a completely separate bounty or something like that.
Star Wars bounty hunters or the Jabba's court or something like that.
Well, when you say that, there's actually I've read a couple of the original extended universe novels, and again I never really got into them. Read a couple of them. But there's one that was called Tales of Jabba's Palace.
Oh yes, yeah. I know of that one.
It's a bunch of short stories, but it basically tells completely like unconnected stories about people that you would have seen in Jabba's Palace in
Jedi.
In Jedi. And some of them that when I read it, and I couldn't. It was read it years ago now, but I remember having to go back to the film, and they were like so and so character, and you're like, who's what? Watch the film. Oh, it's the third guy from the left. Who's got the funny purple head? Right, okay. Doesn't have a talking part. He just appears. And
is that Yak Man?
I don't know. He's probably one of those. I couldn't even tell you. But basically, I love the idea, much like yourself, that they've given this to an author and gone, look, we've got to write 12 stories or 8 stories or whatever. Choose a character that's completely disconnected from the main story and just fill out the backstory. And you know what? That's then going to become canon. That's quite ambitious. Could they do that with films? Would anyone care?
I don't know. Well, the franchise is that huge. People will see it just because it's a Star Wars film. I think it's made 290 million in its opening weekend.
Yes, geez, that's
a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And
what's her name? Kathleen Kennedy, the producer, she's the sort of like figurehead for it all, isn't she? She's like the big producer.
Yeah, she's married to Spielberg.
Yeah. She must be. She
was in
backflips this weekend.
Well, Kathleen Kennedy was, of course, in Temple of Doom. She was the woman in Temple of Doom that plays alongside Harrison Ford.
No, she's not.
That's Kathleen Kennedy.
No. That I've lost my phone, but no, it's not. I'm worried now. I've lost my phone and you're. No, that's my work phone.
Oh, okay.
But my phone's somewhere and you're around.
I know. No, my phone's there. I have no idea.
That's not. Kathleen Kennedy. She's always been a producer. She was a producer on some of the indie films. You're thinking of Willie Scott, aren't you? From Temple of Doom. I forget her name now, but it's not Kathleen Kennedy. But but she must be doing backflips because it is doing gangbusters, and it was a big risk, really, like you say, detaching it. But
I think visually, I think it's going to be great. But I'm not sure. I mean, the cast it's got Forrest Whitaker's in it.
Yeah,
it's got the guy who plays the villain in Bond and Hannibal.
Mad Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Which always plays the villain. So if he doesn't play a villain in this,
I don't know. I've seen him in the trailers and stuff. I don't really know what his character.
No, I don't know.
I think he's supposed to be like the main character's dad.
And the main character's a girl, so they're going with a girl hero kind of thing. And
good, I'm glad. It's a bit of
equality.
Well, yeah, just a bit of diversity. Making
But it's not, though, because it's in a galaxy a long time ago and a galaxy far, far away. So there's not even diversity in this time. It was like that was back in the time when women ruled the galaxy.
If they can do if they can do hyperspeed and have lightsabers, I'm pretty sure they can have gender equality.
Gender equality.
Yeah. Alien equality.
Maybe it's kind of like universal or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's I'm filled with optimism, I guess. I'm optimistic about being entertained today by a Star Wars franchise that isn't a Star Wars franchise. That is a Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
290 million in the box office is phenomenal. Okay, in the opening weekend. However, 290 million is because people want to go and see a Star Wars film that isn't a Star Wars film.
The Teller will be next weekend. Well, no, not next week. It's Christmas.
No, I don't disagree. See, I think people are still going to see it regardless. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. Look at Phantom Menace. People went to see that because people said go and see it. They went to see it because it was the first film. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted the first film to be made. So then they made it, and then everyone went to see it, and they said this is really rubbish. And everyone went to see it because it's really rubbish. Really? How rubbish is it?
Well, no, it's weird. There's a new trend, right? That in the way blockbusters have been always, up until now, especially across the summer, has been you have a pretty big opening weekend, and then you get, you usually get around a 40% drop off. That's typical, right? The next weekend, and then it will basically have a half-life. Like each week, it will decrease until it exits cinemas. Right?
Yeah.
What they've seen now, though, is because they've hyped things up so much, and because of podcasts such as this and others, and everything across the YouTube and everything else, the potential for spoilers now is so high, and fanboys are so wanting to get in, that people are now seeing mega opening weekends and then drop-offs of like 60%.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what this weekend...
Yeah.
Well...
So if this weekend... It's already made its money back, to be fair, but it's opened worldwide at the same time. But it's one of the things where will it drop off or is it going to sustain? Because Force Awakens had a massive opening weekend and then sustained, like well into like the end of January.
It's worth it, though. I mean, it was a good... The problem with this film is going to be Gareth Edwards as well. It's because Gareth Edwards has not made a film that you can honestly say is a blockbuster hit, great film.
No.
Think of Monsters. Monsters was commercially.
Did you like it?
Not really.
It's all right.
It's Blair Witch. It's Blair Witch and Monsters. That's what it is.
I watched it, and I was like, "Well, I've watched it."
Yeah, I'd never watch it again. And Monsters 2 has come out, which has nothing to do with Gareth Edwards, but it's even worse. Dark Continent is on Netflix.
Is it?
It's terrible.
Is it?
It is terrible.
It's never. Yeah.
But Monsters, nothing really happens, and right at the end you see that little monster, and it's like, okay. And it's quite interesting because then you got JJ's Cloverfield, of course, because JJ did Cloverfield, and it's again mirrors kind of Monsters, doesn't it? But in a much better way,
with a much bigger monster.
Yeah, totally, and much more happens in that.
It was a better Godzilla film than the one that Gareth Edwards made.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan. Well, did you see the Godzilla?
Yeah,
the big Godzilla film.
Yes, the one with Matthew Broderick.
No. The more
the recent one. Yes. I prefer the one with Matthew Broderick, though. I think that was much better than this one.
Godzilla. If there's any Godzilla fans out there, they're probably going to be flipping their grave. But I don't disagree. The Matthew Broderick one I still find quite entertaining. I don't think it's a full-on Godzilla film. It's a monster
Jay
film.
Reynolds in it, isn't he?
Yeah. I actually find it quite entertaining.
Yeah.
I thought this recent Godzilla film was like a massive, like just a tease throughout.
I didn't know what he wanted to be. It was like, am I Godzilla? Am I good? Am I bad? Am I this? Am I that? And it's just like, no. And there was too many. There's too many things in it.
Yeah.
It just...
Well, how he described it, and this is as soon as when I saw this interview before I saw the film, I knew I almost guessed what was going to happen. He says he wanted it to be the Jaws of the monster films, of monster movies.
Wow.
Which means basically you don't see the shark, you don't see the monster until the end. But there was a reason you didn't see the shark, because the damn thing didn't work. So, it paid off, and Jaws is a fantastic film.
Oh, brilliant.
Hugely watchable.
Brilliant film.
But for Godzilla, with a the point of Godzilla is to almost get too much of the monster. That's the point.
Yep.
So to have it teased on like screens in the background, and the two monsters are about to hit, go at it, and they close a bleeding door. Oh, that film, like, just... I was exasperated with that film. Absolutely exasperated.
It had such potential. And, of course, you have someone like the Breaking Bad.
Bryan Cranston. And Kick-Ass.
And then you kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Yeah.
You kill off someone, a big star that you managed to draw to this film, and you kill him off within the first 15 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. It was, yeah.
Insane.
It was...
If Cranston would have been in it to the end, I think that would have been a different film.
And if Godzilla had been in it, it'd have been a different film. But they're building up to, and I think they've learnt their lesson from seeing the trailers.
Godzilla versus King Kong, isn't it?
Yeah. So they've got...
but Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Kong Skull Island, which comes out next year. And it's got Tom Hiddleston in and Margot Robbie, I think, Sam Jackson, John Goodman. Looks good. I think it looks quite interesting.
I don't know.
And then I haven't seen the trailer. I'm quite convinced.
Is it Peter Jackson?
No.
Oh, that's good.
I forget who did
Peter
it.
Jackson takes a story that can be told in 90 minutes and extends it into 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Well, that was my fear.
It's
again,
almost as bad. It's almost as bad as watching a Peter Jackson film like that. It's almost as bad as buying a Blu-ray special edition, extended edition of Batman vs Superman. It's almost as bad as that. Not quite as bad as that, but in the same ballpark.
I hate you. No, I know what you mean. So I think this is the thing, though, with, again, going back to Star Wars. But all of this, it's that expectation. Like,
but my point is Gareth Edwards has not made a film that you can actually sit down. You can't think of a Gareth Edwards film you sit down and you'd watch again.
Well, he's still a newish director, isn't he?
But he's a newish director. But he's had Godzilla, which was a huge franchise to take
yeah.
and Star Wars. And you're thinking, how the hell does this man?
But this is what happens now. This is what happens. This is how things
give
happen.
to him.
Basically, they basically, because you've got all these sort of old school directors. You've got your Spielbergs, you've got your I'm trying to think of it. Stick around. Why don't you just stick a Cameron? All these things. All those other big guys are a bit like, no, I've got my own thing. I can do whatever the hell I want. I will churn out 150 Avatar sequels that nobody wants to see, but you know what? I'm going to do it. Spielberg's like, well, I'm going to do the next spy thriller. You can't get them to do this anymore. And I think the other thing is, studios want to tap into the youth market, so they're going to look for up and coming directors that will show a bit of spark, a bit of something a bit different. But the other thing they want to do, and I think this is where you can see people like David Ayer doing Suicide Squad, Josh Trank doing Fantastic Four, and maybe even Gareth Edwards doing this, is they want to be able to hang on and go, well, yeah, they've got this stylistic vision. Look at the films they've done before. They've got this stylistic vision that we wanted to apply, make it. David Ayer did End of Watch and Fury, so a crime film and a tank film, World War film, and they said, we want to bring him in to do this comic book film because he's dark and gritty and he can bring that to the Suicide Squad. We're going to completely screw him over and bastard the film through the studio, but that's why we brought him in. Josh Trank does Chronicle.
Oh yes, I like
which is actually a really good film.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
But he does he does this sort of like down played superhero film that's got some real dark moments in it. Oh yeah, well, it's about friends that sort of come together as superheroes and almost like the joy of it and it turning dark. But do you know what? He's got an artistic vision. We'll bring him in to do. You've seen Chronicle, right? Let's do Fantastic Four. It doesn't pay off because what happens is they bring in. And that's why I was worried about Rogue One. They bring in these guys to do that thing, to do what they do, and then the studios get nervous because they've gone, yeah, but we've actually given them 200 million. I think we need to make that back, plus the marketing, plus everything else.
The directors that have impact on this film. I mean, Kenneth Branagh, I think, is a great director. Got to be honest.
Yeah.
He did a great job with Thor. I think.
I really enjoy his Thor.
Really is good. He's directed lots of other things which have been highly successful. Kenneth Branagh and Star Wars would be a great combination. Give him a Star Wars franchise. Rennie Harlin.
Rennie Harlin is a really interesting. Yeah, I think
him and Star Wars would be a great combination
if you chose the right story.
Yeah,
because I think Rennie Harlin is an action.
Or director as good as the story of the film, anyway.
But you wouldn't give him. I wouldn't give Rennie Harlin a quiet, dramatic piece.
No, I'd give him a full-on
piece. He would be doing the Boba Fett, bounty hunter film or that sort of thing.
Who I'd love to see a crossover with is a Star Wars film made by Tarantino or Rodriguez.
Yeah, again, I think
Planetara?
Planet Terror's pretty good. The other one,
I love Death Proof.
Death Proof was less good.
But Death Proof is supposed to be raw, gritty, and sort of like
unfinished.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not a bad film. It's
a comic book. It's a comic book story. That's all.
Yeah,
Death Proof
it's
is.
not Tarantino's best.
But Rodriguez would be brilliant in Star Wars. He would take for the Star Wars franchise to a different level.
The problem that you have there is that when they bring in someone like Josh Trank or David Ayer or Gareth Edwards or that sort of thing, that's someone who's young, still trying to break into the audience, trying to break into the industry, and they can drag them out and say, "You can do this. Here's your budget, 200 million or whatever. Here's the script. Do your vision, and you're going to get notes from the studio because this is a Star Wars film. So you're still going to have to do this. You're still going to have to do this. You're still going to have to do that.
You're still going to be sort of like tied up with red tape and bureaucratic bullshit.
You do that with Robert Rodriguez. You do that with Quentin Tarantino. You're then going to end up with Samuel L. Jackson coming back as Mace Windu, saying, "I'm Mace motherfucking Windu," and they're like, "You can't do that," and he'll be like, "No, I'm Quentin Tarantino," and he is going to do that. And I think that's the problem you had. That's why you will never ever see someone like Tarantino or Spielberg or Rodriguez or anyone like that touch a franchise, an established franchise film.
What about Chris Columbus? Chris Columbus does Star Wars. That'd be good.
Again, that'd be a really good one. Again, with the right story, a smaller entry point. Ewoks film. I tell you what, bring him back to do a decent Ewoks film.
That'd be brilliant.
He would be brilliant to do a good Ewoks film.
He's still alive, isn't he, Chris Columbus? Is he?
I think so. I think he's more of a producer role now or something like that. But he's knocking on a bit. But then so's Ridley Scott.
Because Tom Hughes is dead, isn't he? Not Tom Hughes. Home Alone.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. He's dead.
I think so. Yeah. But to say age is not an issue. I mean, what was it? Your man who did Mad Max last year is like 84. Ridley Scott turned like 79 or 80 this year recently, and age isn't an issue. It's
Thank you.
But I don't think a studio, like for example, like Marvel or Disney, have got very specific boundaries in which they make their films.
Who's the director of Deadpool?
Something Miller.
George Miller?
No.
That's Mad Max.
That's Mad Max.
Yeah.
But basically, he came from a computer. He'd done some film work, but he actually came from directing computer game segments.
Really?
So he'd done all the motion capture and all that sort of thing.
Interesting.
So the one that was leaked online, no one's ever taken credit for it, and no one's ever got the blame for it. But there's a very strong thing of like, well, it was clearly him because he knows how to do all this stuff, and he made it, and then obviously, it's that sort of thing, and that's what got it made. He's walked away. He's not doing the second one for differences in artistic.
Not Ryan Reynolds isn't either as well.
There he is. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds is massively committed to it.
No. They replaced him with another actor apparently.
Nope.
They have.
They haven't. I'm on top of it.
I've got a sound clip of the actor.
You want right? Bring that out. I'm telling you right now. I've been reading.
You out?
Been
you ready?
Reading more. Yeah. It's gonna be you, isn't it?
No, it's not.
If you do your David Bowie impression right now.
Hello, my name is Deadpool. I'm Deadpool.
They could not make that. If they tried to roll Deadpool 2 out without Ryan Reynolds,
totally,
it would die of death.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. End story. When Ryan Reynolds dies, there will be no more Deadpool.
Yeah,
no one else can do Deadpool except Ryan Reynolds. He's a god.
Apparently they're trying to tickle Hugh Jackman because he's obviously said that Logan, which comes out this next year.
Yeah. That looks.
It looks really
good.
Interesting. He said, "No, that's my last
time
with Wolverine." But I think they're trying to tickle him a little bit to say, well, you could always
feature a Deadpool 2.
Yeah, you could always have a cameo. A Wolverine Deadpool cameo would be quite interesting. I think you'd do it just for a laugh.
Totally. Because they're good mates in real life.
Yeah,
they really are good mates. But the good thing about that is the fact of obviously because of this story between Ryan Reynolds and him in the Wolverine film, wasn't it? Which was just dire when they just destroyed Deadpool's the main villain.
Well, it becomes and he's got all this other stuff like swords in his arms. He's got laser vision. Yeah. And it's just it's awful.
But anyway, sorry, Deadpool.
So that's all this. But basically, we are now going to leave. We're going to go see Rogue One. It's been quite an interesting discussion, actually. I'm interested to see what we think. I'm interested to see how busy it is, because it's a massive weekend.
Can I touch you in the cinema?
Well, no, as long as they don't distract me. During the trailers, maybe.
Trailers is fine. Yeah. Trailers go on for.
I'll cut a hole in the popcorn.
I didn't know you bought a chipolata. Yeah.
Okay, so we shall go now, and we will come back with our thoughts on Rogue One.
Our rebellion is all that remains to push back the Empire. I think you might be able to help us.
When was the last time you were in contact with your father?
What is this? It appears he is critical to the development of a super weapon.
If my father built this thing, we need to find him.
All right. How many do I need?
They are requesting a call sign. It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have? We have hope.
So, we've now seen Rogue One.
Indeed.
And I'm going to have to put something at the front of this podcast. I was trying to do this. I was going to try and do this spoiler free. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
There's too much I want to talk about that's spoilerific. So warning. I will have put something at the beginning of this podcast, but also warning. This is going to contain spoilers.
Yep.
I think. So, Mike, you start me off. Your initial thoughts around Rogue One. Now you've seen it.
Well, okay. If people are going to go and see Rogue One, just don't get attached to any character in the entire thing. It is a sci-fi version of Game of Thrones, really, isn't it? Anything can happen to any character at any time. And it's a 12A.
That shocked me.
Yeah.
By the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the end, when the credits rolled at the end, I was a bit like, I'm not sure.
12A. Yeah. No, it's
There's a couple of emotional gut punches in it that really.
There's a few sort of like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Sort of thing. So, yeah, just don't get attached to anyone. That's what I will say without giving too much away. Do not get attached to anyone.
One of the things we discussed before we went, and before we get into the film, really was: is this film worth doing? Is this a step too far? Is this something worth having in the Star Wars universe? Now you've seen it, can you answer that question?
Okay, well, look at it like this, okay? Let's step back away from the question just for a second. Let's go back to that question. I think it's too soon to say.
Okay.
All right. The first thing that's noticeable about this film for me was the fact that the first hour was long.
Yes.
It was a long hour. It was a long build-up to an hour and another hour, because this is a 2 hour and 15-minute film, I think.
Let's have a look.
Let's say 15 for the titles.
I've got IMDb in front of me. 2 hours 14.
There we are. So let's say 15 minutes of titles, yeah?
Yeah.
So 2 hours, so it's an hour each way, and the first hour drags.
I found the first 15, 20 minutes really almost disengaging. Because it was sort of like short scene here, short scene there, short scene. It just felt really choppy. It took 20 minutes for it to go. Okay, well we feel settled now. A lot of it felt like and previously in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can see where that comes from. There's little nods to certain people and certain things, isn't there?
Yeah.
And gratuitous cameos.
We'll get onto the cameos, I think, at some point. They're unavoidable to discuss them.
But I mean, it is simply, and if you can get through the first hour, the second hour isn't too bad. Second hour is pretty fast paced. It goes pretty quick. When
they get the team together, it picks up pace quite quickly. I think.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's action all the way.
Oh yeah, well, the moment it turns, it turns, and that's it.
Good to see the AT-ATs.
Yep.
Definitely good to see the AT-ATs.
That's what I would say. It felt like it truly felt like it was in the Star Wars universe.
In the last hour.
I'd even say parts of the first half. There's a couple of bits where I agree, where it sort of felt a little bit.
It's like it's a sci-fi movie.
Yes.
The first hour could have been any sci-fi movie from anything. There was no one, and I found that I didn't really care about anyone in the first hour as well. That's the thing, is that I wasn't really attached. Like Rey in
Force
Awakens. You get attached to her character pretty quick.
Well, the pacing is different, though, isn't it? And I think that's the thing, because you spend all that time with Rey, and you get to see.
No, I didn't. That was just rumours. I didn't. I mean, it was one night.
One night, you saw all of Rey. She's too young for you.
That was one night. Then she found me in the wardrobe, and then I got arrested and was asked to leave.
Stormtroopers marched you out.
Yeah, marched me out. I only wanted her to feel the force. So
find your lightsaber.
Yeah.
No, but I totally agree that some of the scenes at the beginning are so choppy that even sort of Felicity Jones's Jen Erso, it's sort of like she appears and then then it goes off somewhere else. Then she appears and it goes off somewhere else. And you're like, just give me something, give us something to do so I can actually get like I say, invested in the characters.
Yeah.
I was quite invested in some of the characters. Yeah. Weirdly, the ones I got most invested were Donnie Yen's Chirrut and Wayne Zhang's Baze Malbus. I think that's the ones that that's the Temple Guardians. Donnie Yen in this is brilliant.
Yeah.
He's not quite a Jedi, so he talks about the Force. He's like a Force monk, but he's not a Jedi. But he is.
I am the Force, and the Force is with me.
Yeah.
I am the Force, and the Force is with me.
But he's badass, like you say, doing his martial arts, and he's funny. That's the other thing. There's some humour in this. The
robots.
Yes.
The robot's great. What's the name?
K2SO.
K2SO.
Voiced by Alan Tudyk.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, the sarcasm. And
Alan Tudyk is one of those actors. If you've never seen Firefly or Serenity, that's his bag. That's what he's
the lead character in it, isn't he?
No, that's Nathan Fillion. He's the pilot in it. He's been in loads of things. He's one of those things you see him in. He pops up in sort of genre pieces loads, but he's fantastic.
But he's the kind of actor that goes, "Oh, that's him."
Yes. Yeah, you'll see him and you'll go, "Oh, yeah."
He's not like Mike Kennedy. He's not like
no, he's not. He's not an A-list.
What you mean that guy? The guy that did How Red's My Valley?
That's the one.
Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. That's the one.
And Nasty
A-list
1 and 2.
On the
yeah, man.
Name on the on
half a star.
On the 10. Half a star. But no, it does. It starts off choppy, but I think, like you say, it turns a point. You get the team together, and then you sort of get about halfway through. They get the mission. Forget all the stuff with Mads Mikkelsen and all that. Up to that point, that's where I agree. It felt like a bit of a just a generic science fiction film in many ways.
Yeah, totally.
with nods to being in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, when they're given the mission of we've got to get the Death Star plans, and they're on Scarif, whatever the planet's called. Mm-hmm.
That's and Jeddah as well.
Yeah, but that was one of the nods. That felt more like a nod than because I'm not a Star Wars aficionado. Mm. But when they actually goes like, here's where we've got to go, and it's that suicide mission. Go. That's when it felt like, oh, this is a Star Wars film. It felt more, for some reason, that's where it sort of started to come together. So before we really get into anything else that really struck you?
Yeah, they had technology, weapons, and vehicles in this film, which don't appear again in Still Jedi.
Which is fine, though, to me.
But it's just like, if you've got... What do? They put them in storage for a few years?
Well, it's a big universe. Just because Luke and Leia and that hand didn't see them.
They're like Imperial kind of, like... thing.
What sort of thing? I mean, you mean the AT-ATs and the...
Well, the AT-ATs don't come into it until Empire Strikes Back. The Y-Wings that they fly into doesn't come into it till Jedi. They don't use them in 1 or 2. They're
in a big universe. I mean, I don't know what the timescales are.
Last season's, darling.
That's what it could be. Totally could be. I mean, yeah, they overuse some things in this. I think that's a good point. Is they do overuse things that you're a bit like, I'm not going to see that until so and so. But I mean, to put that in context, I don't really understand in my own head the timescales between New Hope and Jedi. So in the original trilogy, is it 6 weeks? Is it 6 years? I've never really got my head around that. Sort of like, what's the gap between those 3 films?
I think it's 3 months.
Okay, so
Because I'm probably wrong, okay, but it does say you've been, because when she frees Han Solo from carbonite, she says you've been frozen in carbonite for such and such.
So that's
time.
Empire to Jedi.
Yeah.
So
Empire
what's
to Jedi.
so Hope to New Hope to Empire could be. It's just one of those things I've never really quite.
Well, yeah,
fully-
I mean, it could be.
But let's be honest, the timescales between this and New Hope are clarified
Yeah.
without question.
There is a linkage within the film. That's all we should say, really.
No, this is spoilers. We can go into it.
Really?
I've given the warning. People, we're going to spoil some of this.
Well, it's introduces. I mean, you could watch this and A New Hope
You could watch. You could pretty much
back to back. You
Yeah.
just splice them together.
Yeah.
Job's a good one.
The last scene, the last shot of this film is the opening shot of New Hope. Pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, and they used the same set as that was still in still in the studio.
Yeah.
Still in the studios.
Well, what I'd say is one of the big things, apparently, and I was just flicking through the trivia on this and that. 4 bits of it, they actually used shots that were not used from the original trilogy in bits of this.
Okay.
To give it that same feel. So that I can get.
Well, the set still exists, doesn't it? In Elstree, the set's still there in Elstree.
So they must have used it.
Yeah, they used it in the last film. They used it in Force Awakens as well.
Yeah. So do you think this is a suitable prequel to the?
I think it's a linkage, isn't it? It's a missing link in a chain. You know, the chain was fine as there is, but let's put an extra chink in there. Just it's been linked really well. I think the film could have been told in a shorter time, but that's just.
Oh God, yeah.
It was a bit too long.
It needed editing down.
Yeah, it did. It was a bit too. Oh, come on already. Let's get this thing moving.
I would even say, and I can give there's several scenes in the opening where there's a scene where the opening bit with Mad Mikkelsen, and you meet his family, and you find out that he's the one that's invented the Death Star. And all this
Didn't
sort of
care.
stuff. Did not care. Like that was all addressed later
Yeah.
again in the film.
And they reiterated, didn't they? Just in case
Just
you
in
missed
case
it.
you didn't, just in case you're really not sure.
An hour ago.
Yeah.
On Rogue One.
But then when you meet Jen Erso for the first time as an adult, she's in a cell with some squid-faced alien.
Yep.
She gets up, looks at it, sees a stormtrooper, it cuts off and goes somewhere else. Comes back and she's on a prison. It again says Imperial labour work prison, and she's on a carrier. Well, why do you need both of those scenes then to establish that she's in prison? Like, get rid of the first one. That's some there was a couple of things like that where I'm just like, this could have been cut so much. And dream sequences like this. She keeps remembering. I'm going to have to pick up the character's name. Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera. Like they just reiterate that like he saved her from the hole, and they show that about 4 times. And I'm like, I got that. I know your target audience is like 8-year-old boys.
Did you find
I got that?
Forrest Whitaker's character completely and absolutely pointless? There was no need for that character at all.
No, unless he appears. Well, no, he's not going to appear in anything else.
No,
Because
he's
again,
not, no.
don't get emotionally attached to
That's any
anyone.
character, no.
It was a bit like
We need an Oscar-winning actor in this. Okay, Forrest Whitaker. It just. And his character does nothing for the storyline. I'm sorry, it does nothing at all.
This is what I'm saying. This is that thing about the first hour. He becomes a MacGuffin, almost like we've got to. He's the reason that Jen Erso comes into the film. They're like, we need you because you know him because he saved you from a hole, and just so you weren't sure, we're going to show you that again a couple of times. We need you to introduce us for this purpose, but nothing ever comes of it. So, you're right. That whole story could have been condensed in a different way. Like, she could have been brought into this in a completely different way.
Well, like Rey in... do I have a thing for Rey? I'm not sure. It's getting a bit worrying now.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, Rey. But Rey in The Force Awakens, she's lived on her own.
Yeah.
She was sold to that, and that kind of thing. Her father's been taken back to finish work at the Death Star. Mother's been shot, so maybe she survives and brings herself up on that planet.
Yeah.
maybe that would have been a better story. Why have this character that comes, takes her out of her hole, then betrays her, and then she gets stuck in prison anyway? It all
became very convoluted for no purpose.
Yeah, and it was like, well, why are you there? Why are you there? Unless you're there to the end of the film. I don't really want to know, to be honest.
I agree. The whole first hour of this film is a little bit over convoluted and could have been condensed into half an hour with a better script. A tighter script could have really reduced this down and been a lot more efficient. Getting into the second hour, though, one of the big things Gareth Edwards kept talking about when he was, when he'd done the bits and pieces off Red, the little bits and pieces, he was like, "Oh, it's a war film. It's totally a war film." And by the end of it, I was like, "Yeah, it really was." There's a scene when they're in a, for want of a better phrase, it's a desert planet because there's hundreds of these apparently scattered around the galaxy, and in a desert planet city, which just so happens to look like any other sort of like Middle Eastern sort of city.
Yep.
And then there's a terrorist attack on an army convoy. If that is not basically taken from an Al Qaeda attack on an American troops and stuff like that, it could have been lifted from obviously apart from the Stormtrooper.
It could be related to. That's the thing, in the modern day, sort of like
exactly. Well, the way it was choreographed, if you were to just put the Stormtroopers in American military outfits, that scene still plays.
So you're saying that the rebellions are Al Qaeda?
I'm not saying
wow.
Well, no, I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying wrong. But the choreography for that scene of a military force being hit by a rebel squad could be used in any modern film.
Interesting.
And then when you get to the end, it's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Except for Saving Private Ryan, some of the characters survive.
Yeah. If Tom Hanks was in this film, he'd be crushed by an actor.
It's just well, that's my biggest problem with this film is that when you watch New Hope, Empire and Jedi, right? The Star Destroyer is a formidable, amazing battleship. I mean, it's huge, yeah? And the Super Star Destroyer preceding it, and the AT-ATs in Empire, they were just sort of like the only way you could take them down is harpoon the cables. Now, I know Empire's after this, so maybe, armour and everything else has changed and evolved like it did in medieval times and things like this.
They learned from this battle. Yeah,
which I accept. But I think that ships in this, the bigger ships, the bastard ships, they were too easy to defeat. I just found like the Star Destroyers, they shot that panel. Oh, it's all out of power, and then they got that little tugboat, little ship, just to push it into the other one, and not only push it into the other one, but rip it completely apart. It's like
there was a bit that I agreed with that, where they were like, "We're going to use the ion missiles," and I was like, I actually thought that, I was like, why did they never use those in the original trilogy? Because it's based like an EMP pulse, isn't it? It takes out all the power from the Star Destroyer, and I was a bit like, that'd have been useful. In the Battle over Yavin,
but the Imperials have got technology that blows planets up, and yet they can't. This is a film.
It's
right? Like, oh come on, really?
This is a film designed solely to answer a single geeky question that's been around since New Hope came out, which is who the hell builds something as technical as the Death Star with such a stupid flaw as having a hole in it if you shoot it and destroys a whole lot.
Totally.
So for decades people have been like, well, that's ridiculous, that's stupid. So what they've done is they've built a film that answers that question. In doing so, they've raised a hell of a lot more questions.
Yeah, I mean, totally. But also as well, the interesting thing about this is you notice the Death Star, when they first put it together, was upside down.
It's in space. There is no upside down.
No, but it's the wrong way round. It is the wrong way round.
I've no. It's a ball. It's a ball with a disc in it.
Yeah, but
how is that upside down?
Because
inside out.
You Google Death Star image now, right, on your phone. Okay, so you
carry on talking.
Come out of YouPorn. All right.
So I say great radio. This
That's
great
great.
podcasting
So
material.
if you Google Death Star, you will see exactly what I mean. The Death Star is a distinctive shape, round, but it's also it's a distinctive style. It is a recognizable space station. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big.
Yeah, but if you look at images, okay, look at that. You see the round circle's always on the top, the dividing line, the equator of the Death Star, if you
It's
like.
there as well. That's the new. It's the old.
Yeah, no. That's not what I'm saying. Is that the Death Star in this film, when it's first put together, the circle where the laser is at the bottom of the Death Star.
Yeah, but right. Let's just.
If it turns upside down, everyone's going to fall off. It's just going to.
You do know how space works, don't you?
Yeah, no,
Right.
I do know how space works, right? But I
need a ball.
it's just logic.
It's
No, but
not
just
logic at all. That's ridiculous.
It's not.
If it's in space,
Yeah.
where there is no gravity or atmosphere, if something's on the bottom, technically it's also on the top because there is no up or down because space does not sort of have those things.
Yeah, but when you dock
up and down only exists when you have gravity. So inside it, they may have up and down because they'll have the core, which will be creating the gravity.
Yeah.
Outside of it, it doesn't make a difference.
It does.
It
though,
doesn't.
because when you land your spaceship into there, you can't sort of land it. You just can't go boom boom. Oh, which way do I go? You have to land in a.
I'm going to go to a completely different franchise to sort of provide some example of this.
But it's not. We're not talking about
no,
different
no.
franchise.
Right, no, yeah, but then it's still a space thing. It's still a space thing, right? So in Star Wars,
Yeah.
Star Trek,
Right.
in both the new films and the old films, because they do it in the old films as well.
Yeah.
There is a bit where you'll have I don't know which one's it in, but you have a Klingon bird of prey, right? And it's sort of and they're all having a bit of an argument about where's the Enterprise gone, and the blue thing comes up. They do it in Next Generation in an episode where it comes up beneath them, right? So you got going level is your bird of prey, and then coming up at it from underneath it like Jaws, right? Underneath it is your Enterprise firing up at its belly. Okay, when they go into a shot inside the Enterprise's what's it called? Whether you got Captain Kirk and all that, or your Picard sat, they're not all strapped into their chairs being pulled backwards because they're going up. Because that's not how it works in space.
Because they have a gravity system within it.
But they have a gravity
But if
system
they-
within the Death Star.
But if they turn the ship upside down, then
No, it doesn't.
the phones would fall out their pockets.
Right, we're going to move on from this because
Pens.
the madness of talking around the gravity system
But
of the
it
Death
does.
Star.
But okay. So cinematography. Okay, from a cinematography perspective, having the Death Star the wrong way round, regardless of gravity
Yeah.
and gravitation, was wrong. They should have actually shot
Okay,
it.
I consider that to be an opinion because I thought it was cool. I think it was just to do this. Every apart from some of the other things we've probably pointed out, I pretty much think they'll have covered all their bases when it comes to those sorts of details. I thought it looked cool. But
Did you see when they shot the laser though? They shot the laser and the two guys operating the laser just went like this, just duck down and cover their eyes.
don't
It's
look,
like,
don't cross the streams.
Why have you put the control deck for that so close to the laser in the first place? Surely health and safety would shut you down. It's not even a rail on that; they could fall off and everything.
Well, that's in the same as in the original trilogy, and I've always thought that.
Yeah,
When there's
it's
just
like,
two people. I'm
How
sort
did
of
they
like,
get there as well?
That must be a bottom rung job.
reckon so? Yeah.
They're like, oh, put the interns in there. All it is firing.
Because the thing is, as well, is that it's all. What I don't understand is it's all level, but in actual fact, where the eye is on a slant.
I'm even going to get back
so this
into this.
platform must be at a kind of gradient of about 30
Right.
degrees. So how do they not just roll down or slide off, or do they have special boots that keep them upright?
I'm not getting into this because you're winding me up now. You are just winding me up just about it. Let's talk about something completely different,
Okay.
right? And it sort of still harkens back to the original trilogy.
Is it how they go to the toilet when they're just rotating upside down and all?
Yes, that's it, the
everything comes
mess.
liquid?
No, I'm talking about the fact that in this film is Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yes. Yeah. Grand Moff Tarkin.
And it's not just a cameo. Peter Cushing has a role in this film.
Yeah, I know. Who does the voice of Peter Cushing? Did it say on
I have to find it.
IMDb?
I'm assuming they must do, because...
It's surely not computer generated voice.
no.
Because he is back as a computer generated, a CGI
Yeah.
character, and it's quite bizarre because
What did you think of it?
Oh, I don't know. I think his character needed to be in the film if you're telling that story. Okay, I think it was well placed within the film to tell that story.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did he look too much CGI? But they used him sparingly because he disappears sort of like an hour or so into the film.
Well, he was still around at the end. I mean, that's the thing.
I didn't see him at the
There
end.
you go. So it's a guy called it's a person called Guy Henry.
Yeah.
Did Grand Moff Tarkin, and he was the face capture, so he had all the spots on. I don't know whether they did the voice or not, because we're getting into the uncredited roles now. I don't know. It might even be that they just took a sample of. I'll have to find out. I'm fascinated because he takes credit for for the whole thing, and that's when he sort of
because it was his idea originally.
Well, that's how he plays it, isn't it? But you've actually got what's his name? Krennic, which is played by Ben Mendelsohn. So he's like the main baddie in this.
Yeah.
And that's what the thing is about to say about this film as well, and all the characters in this, and what you said, don't get emotionally invested in these characters.
Yeah.
You start the original trilogy. The very first thing we know about the Star Wars universe, the very first thing we learn about the Star Wars universe, that they've got the Death Star plans. So the first thing you sort of learn about all this, right? So you've got no delusions about how this film is going to end.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, there is no tension in the success of the mission, because you know it's going to be a success. Otherwise, you've got no A New Hope doesn't exist. The tension comes in, like, how do they do it and do they succeed? Because none of these characters appear in any future films.
No, well,
and they're all
they won't.
And the fact is,
not even in a blue light kind of way, you know.
And I was actually thinking that. So Ben Mendelsohn's character, this Orson Krennic, who seems really important in the Empire, I was a bit like, wow, he seems really quite crucial in all this. How are they going to? Oh, okay.
Hurry up. Let's not get attached.
Jyn Erso seems quite important. Oh no, it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters. No character matters in this film because they all
matter. But they all matter for this story, but they do not matter to the wider universe, and that's why.
They matter for the story of the New Hope. That's
do.
the thing. That's they set the paving stones of the New Hope. And Tarkin, when it was Tarkin, wasn't it? Peter Cushing's character.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Yeah.
I mean, he took the Death Star off the other guy.
Yeah, and took control of it.
He took control of it, and he said, "I'm taking it off you because you've put the laser right at the bottom when your laser should be at the top." That's what he said. I can understand that. I'd do that the same.
And then he said, well,
I would have bitch slapped him.
I'm going to switch that round, and it'll all be fine.
It'll be fine.
No, I have to say it was interesting to see it. So when he appeared in the first scene, and they do him a little bit in shadow and that sort of thing, I thought, okay, that's going to be it.
Yeah, it's going to be him from the back. Because
Yeah.
they show him from the back.
Yeah.
With a little bit of reflection in the glass.
That looked brilliant.
Yeah.
Using him as reflection, I was like, that perfect. That looks amazing. And then they started to show his face, and it was still a little bit Polar Express.
It wasn't
as bad as
Polar
but
Express. It was passable.
Yeah. If you looked really carefully, you could tell that it's computer generated.
I think if we was in a room now and it was me, you, and him, I think we'd notice.
Yeah. But if Peter Cushing was sat over there, you'd notice. I think we would.
We'd probably smell it, actually, wouldn't we?
But there's still the problem with the CGI is it still hasn't quite managed that.
It's almost there.
The Canny Valley effect is still in effect, where it looks slightly flat, so it doesn't quite work. It looked good and looked brilliant in the film, but it still looked like a CG. And I'm glad they did it.
It's interesting to see that because there's supposed to be 4 of these in the pipeline. Rogue films?
Not Rogue films, just a Star Wars story film.
Oh, Star Wars story film. Oh, okay.
No, apparently no one in this, and I might be wrong at some point, but no one. And I was going to say, no one in this has a sequel written into their contract. Clearly
not.
No, why.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the other Star Wars films are all going to be like anthology kind of films, so they'll be about something else. So we obviously got the Han Solo film, and I don't know what the others are going to be.
I'm not too fussed about the Han Solo film.
No, I actually thought like the only other cameo where they used exactly the same effect was at the very, very end of the film. And again, spoilers. We've been if you're still listening, and you haven't quite got that it's going to be spoilers.
No, they would have switched off when they found out the Death Star was the wrong way around.
That's true.
You know,
was you get a young Leia Organa.
Well, you get the
Carrie Fisher.
You get the Carrie Fisher from New Hope. That's what you get.
That I thought looked better. Now, I think that was because...
Except for the fact that Carrie Fisher from New Hope didn't wear a bra.
And this one clearly
And
was.
this one was.
Well, I didn't notice
You
that.
could see no shape of anything.
Okay, I didn't notice that. What I found was, though, because I think with Peter Cushing, it had to be an old Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
So his face would have had a lot more texture and that sort of thing. And obviously with a young Carrie Fisher, there was a lot less texture because
She was more Avatar.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
She had smoother skin, smoother texture to her face. It worked better, I think. She looked better because there had to be less wrinkles and character stuff. But I think she looked very good. That face mapping was very, very good.
Yeah, she wasn't bad at all. I mean, that was a nice kind of like nice end to the film.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, it was a nice go home.
Yeah, it was, and I'm definitely going to watch New Hope at some point very, very soon.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I still think what they should do, I think when it comes out on Blu-ray, we should have a night where I'll edit it,
Put it together. Yeah,
so
that'd
that
be amazing.
We can do four. It'll be a 4-hour film.
4-hour film.
4 hours.
Cut
of
out
Star
some of the.
Wars.
Wait, no, it doesn't have to be. We'll cut
Cut
out
out
the
the
first
first
hour,
hour.
and then we'll go into it.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is then the main characters, Felicity Jones. I thought she was very, very good.
She's just yes.
I really enjoyed her.
She's very attractive in the girl next door kind of way.
She is actually. I saw her in Inferno.
Very pouty face though, isn't she?
Yeah.
In what's her name? What's the one off Pirates of the Caribbean?
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley.
She's very of that vein.
Yeah.
Well, she comes like. There was until this film came out. It's really funny, like there's all the internet rumors about this and about that, right?
Yeah.
And she looks basically. They were like, oh, she's very because she's British.
Yes, she is.
Oh, she's a white British brunette. Another one in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Maybe she's Rey's parents. No, clearly answered.
That is not the case.
So let's get on to the wrong thing. We were going to talk about this, right? Big spoilers. The death scenes at the end of this, right? The final 20 minutes for me.
Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. But let's put it. I want to put this into context. The way they die, I think, has some clout. There are scenes at the end of this film that would fit into Saving Private Ryan. They would fit into Platoon. They would fit into name a good war film. I think that I really liked. There were some scenes in this that really got me.
Totally.
Really got me.
I mean, when the only problem I had with it is the Death Troopers, which are the
guys in black.
The guys in black are the experts. So I'm being a bit nerdy here. Are the marksmen of stormtroopers? Their accuracy is pretty much. 100%.
When they come off the ship, though, that looks brilliant.
Yeah, it looks brilliant. They
just march off.
Here comes. It's kind of it's a Brock
down.
Lesnar moment. Here comes the pain.
It is seriously.
That's what it is. But the thing is that then that all goes to shit because they shoot it and they miss it and they miss it and they miss it.
Well,
and
yeah, but no, they don't
and he's
miss.
going, I am the Force and the Force is with me.
Yeah,
It's
but there's
like,
a point
come
for
on.
that. No, I like that. I really like that because it was set up in a certain way that he's Donnie Yen's character is a Force monk or whatever.
Yeah.
And throughout it, like he makes it clear. He's not a Jedi.
Crouching Dragon, Hidden Jedi.
Basically, but he's
That's
not.
basically what he is.
He hasn't got Force manipulation, though, has he? He can't. No. He can't. There's because they almost tease it because he comes out. He's open when you first meet him. He's sort of like, "Let them walk in peace," and the guy's like, "Who are you? Go away!" And you're like, "Oh, okay." So he hasn't got the mind.
He's biting the stick. Let them go. Let them walk in peace. The stormtroopers are going. Just
go away.
Just sit down.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're doing, waving your hand and all this shit, but you're quite mad.
Yeah, go away.
I love it when they put the bag over his head and he goes, "Really? I'm blind."
Yeah, fantastic. That's what he has a great sense of humour in this. But he's clearly he's just a Force monk. He's not a Jedi. So throughout it, he's obviously saying the Force. I am the Force, and the Force is with me.
Yeah.
So when he does that and he walks out and he's being shot at and they are missing, to me it plays as. The Force is almost like is a living thing. It flows through all of us. It's almost interceding because it plays a little bit because like they make it clear. I mean, Yoda makes it clear in another one. It's not a force for good. It's not a force for bad. It just is. So is it interceding because of who he is or because it saves him so he can pull off that final moment? And then when Baze comes out as well and does his thing, and he's like saying it, and he basically goes a bit. Yeah. Takes revenge for Donnie Yen's death.
He's a bit sort of like RoboCop-esque, isn't he?
But he gets, you know, when he's saying it after Donnie Yen's been killed, and again he holds him and stuff. I was really touched by that, because these are two guys that have clearly been friends for like decades.
The bit that's missing is the fact that we haven't mentioned as well, which is the big sort of like, well, what was the point of that? Her mother at the beginning gives her the necklace and say the Force will always protect you, and then it's like it's not really touched on. It's like she has no powers of the Force.
No, she's got no Force powers.
You know, you would look at the necklace one more time in the film, and it's completely gone. That's it. There's no connection to it at all. It's like, what? Really?
Pointless, mate.
Yeah.
The only point of that was, well, I was confused. This work because they make it clear as well that crystal that she's got
is a crystal that's put in lightsabers.
That can be used, and is also being used to fuel the Death Star.
Yeah.
And when she says, "My father told me that this is what was used to fuel a lightsaber," I was convinced. I was thinking, because this is what they call it, Chekhov's gun. Right, if you're showing me something and you're telling me that this fuels a lightsaber, then you're gonna have a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, never touched on again. Never comes back.
It's good in one sense, the lightsaber things, because at this point all the Jedi are supposed to be dead.
Yeah, I got that.
Either in dead or exiled.
Then don't mention it.
So they
don't
didn't
mention it.
No, absolutely, and they didn't. And you saw that rather good on as a Jedi.
Jeddah. Yeah.
The Jedi.
Oh, the big statue.
The statue of the Jedi, the fallen Jedi. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was such a moment. And I don't know. I think that there's lots of things that really didn't need to be there in the film.
I could strip this.
You know.
I reckon this film, if you were to really focus on this script and pull out what wasn't necessary, you could easily cut out 30 minutes of this film.
And you saw Darth Vader without his armor on.
In a really what? Yeah,
He was having a bath.
Yeah,
he was having a bath.
Maintaining him and stuff. That's interesting because, like you say, in the original tree, you see him with the helmet on. This one's it's a similar kind of deal, but
he's got his arms back.
No, he doesn't. No. Did you say when he comes out, he's amputee, and it's something. It's like it looks like arms lifting him out of that tub water.
Oh, so they didn't have his arms on.
No.
Because I thought, what?
No,
he didn't. Back, but he was in like it's not like a bath of milk.
Yeah, it was like it was nourishing his obviously burnt skin or something. But let's talk about Darth Vader in this film.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Grand Moff Tarkin as an old Tarkin. We've talked about Leia as You don't need any CG for Darth Vader because he's a big black suit.
You just need a big ass dude in a black suit.
So let's talk about Darth Vader in this. What were your thoughts?
He's got a swagger, hasn't he?
They've made him badass again.
Yeah, he's got that swagger. Do you notice that swagger? And he was walking down for the first time.
He's got confidence in this.
Yeah.
Because there's two bits. There are two key scenes in this, two key cameos for Vader in this, which I thought were fantastic. Because he appears a couple of times.
There's a few. Isn't he quite a bit, isn't he?
But when Orson Krennic, Ben Mendelsohn's character, comes to talk to him, and he actually says to him, because obviously Grand Moff Tarkin has taken over the Death Star, and he basically sucks up to him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he says, do you mean I'm still in control? I'm still in charge? And he does the force choke on him, but he doesn't even look at him.
No.
He's walking away, and all of a sudden he's like, and then he turns around and he's got the hand. I was like, that is awesome. And at the end,
the I'm just gonna come and kill people.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and he just sort of like slaughters everyone.
I've got to tell you, listeners, and if you've seen it, but I've got to describe it. So this is a major spoiler. They take a landing party to one of the rebel ships. It's black. You've got rebel fighters ready to go, and all you can hear the breathing. This was a Jaws moment. It's completely pitch black, and all of a sudden, and it's the only lightsaber in the film, and he just uses the Force and the saber and kills everybody.
Yeah.
And then just battles his way through an entire rebel ship.
And you can't even feel bad about that. You kind of go, fair play to you, mate.
I was nudging you. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I know. I thought you were getting a little bit excited at that bit. And then right at the end, then when the ship goes off,
yeah,
and he's standing there in the port, of the ship, looking out at space.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how aren't you sucked out of space?
Well, this is one of those things again. It's that science fiction thing of because they do it all the time in Star Trek and they do it in Star Wars. Because if you've ever watched Star Wars, and it always happens in the
I know
they use force fields, don't they?
They got them special boots that they use at the Death Star when it's upside down. The magnetic boots that keeps them just pinned.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I don't want any tweets or emails about anything you've said because. But yes, I get what you're saying. But I have to say, I think that ending is spot on.
Yeah.
It adds. Do you think now seeing what they go through to destroy the Death Star in New Hope? Do you think seeing the sacrifices that went into this give the battle over Yavin at the end of New Hope more weight? Knowing the characters now.
Well, knowing the former characters.
Well, yes.
The sacrifice to get the... I mean, it's a D-Day landing, isn't it? But in space. That's basically what it is. I mean, the D-Day landings, we knew exactly what we had to do. We knew we had to take this... We knew we had to take this beach. We knew we had to take this fortification. And if we took this fortification, we knew that we would make a huge progress in the battle. It wouldn't be the end of the battle. It would be huge progress in the battle. So it's a World War II moment. And I think that's the only thing I can compare it to. And it's the same here, is that, there was, like with D-Days, there was an amazing amount of casualties before they were even able to get to that stage to do the D-Day landing. And you kind of think to yourself, when Star Wars is concerned, the sacrifices made in this film certainly make you look at the battle at New Hope
Differently.
So much differently.
Yeah.
So
totally.
much differently. It's no longer the boy hero's going to win the day. It's the Rebel Alliance have lost countless number of people. I mean, the massacre at the end, one thing we don't mention is that one ship seems to get away and everything, all the rest of the Rebel Alliance gets wiped out.
Yeah.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Even Admiral Akbar's dad.
Yeah.
Admiral Rhubarb? Was it Rhubarb? Did he say Rhubarb?
It was
Rhubarb.
Yeah,
like, all right then.
a conversation with that species must be incredibly difficult.
They must stink, though. You think about it. They must constantly stink of
Raidus.
fish.
Admiral Raidus.
Admiral Raidus.
Yeah.
Raidus.
Yeah.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Um,
I am not related to Admiral Akbar. Admiral Akbar, come into the room. Hello, I am Admiral Akbar. I am Admiral Raidus. See, we don't even sound the same. You do. Can you guess this voice?
Yeah.
Hello, how are you? Is that Admiral Akbar? No, it's Admiral Raidus.
yeah.
Sorry.
Phone conversations have been really difficult.
Can I speak to Admiral Akbar? Hello, Admiral Akbar. No, I want to speak to Admiral Akbar. It's Admiral Raidus. No, it's not. It's Admiral Akbar. You just put on a voice.
Your podcast would be completely different.
Yeah.
just two people going.
Yeah.
But I agree. Actually, that's a total thing. I now think this changes the original trilogy for me in that Rogue One and A New Hope is one story.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
And then Empire and Jedi is almost another story. Because this is,
I see that. Yeah,
connected. I'm
no,
not saying
but they will though. They will.
So I agree. I think for me, this and New Hope now forms like a war story, and I know that they changed tone because you then get
Resurgence of Jedi.
Yeah, you get the reason that Luke and Han come into it. But you know what I now find a little bit annoying that this film is set off, and
I know what it is, and it's the same as I found annoying when the first time we saw the Death Star and it was upside down.
No. I'm going to punch you. I am. I'm just going to punch you. No.
It wouldn't be the first time.
All the people that I say, you're right, because this film to me gave life to the rebellion.
Yeah.
Right. So you've now seen all the other characters pre-Skywalker that are involved, and the sacrifices that went into getting the Death Star plans and everything else.
Because they've lost the Clone Wars.
Because they've had their asses kicked and they're coming back and all sort of stuff. So at the end of all this, they have the Battle of Yavin. They destroy the Death Star in New Hope, and granted, it's Han and Luke Skywalker that do that. They shoot it through the porthole. He uses the Force, and then all that kind of jazz. They get medals, an entire ceremony to celebrate them. What about all these other poor bastards behind the scenes that don't get any acknowledgement? Forget. Right, New Hope, end of New Hope. Han Solo has a medal. Luke Skywalker has a medal. Right. Everyone moans about the fact that...
What about Biggs? Biggs is in it. Biggs is in it throughout all three films. He doesn't get a medal. He was right up there.
Exactly. They're all up there. Everyone moans because Chewie doesn't get a medal at the end. And he has to just stand there and go... Rah! Right? I'm now saying that those two sods don't deserve a medal because they're basically sort of half-time heroes. They've come in the last bit and done a bit. All those other people that have died or sacrificed and lost things in this battle should have also got a medal. Glory hogs. Luke Skywalker, you glory hog.
Well, I think as well as that, you know, these people that sacrifice their lives are not mentioned again in any of the other three films. You know, there's no connection there. They don't sort of like. So I think there might be a special edition coming out of like Star Wars: A New Hope, where they reflect back and say, if it was not for the sacrifices of those who have gone before, you know, it's like, come on, please.
Yeah. Well, no,
You know?
you're gonna. Well, luckily, it's not. Luckily, it's not under George Lucas anymore, because he would go back and you'd probably find that what they do is they'd put a plaque in, they'd CG a plaque in behind Leia,
a blue plaque.
a blue plaque, and it would say like Jen Erso and da 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 da.
Jen Erso lived here.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
They'd do something like that.
I think so, but I think it's good. Oh, that's my foot, by the way. I think it's good to sort of like tie up loopholes, and I think that's what this film does.
It does.
I think it ties up a really big loophole.
We may have picked fault with it, and we've joked about some of the bits.
Yeah.
But let's say I really enjoyed this film.
I enjoyed the last half.
Yes. Yeah.
First
okay,
half.
yeah.
First half, I didn't enjoy too much.
No. It took a while to get there, but I enjoyed the payoff.
The payoff was good.
I enjoyed the end result.
Yeah, it's you know, it's like watching the build up could have been less
Yeah. Yeah.
and more. At the
I
same
think,
time.
as I say, yeah, if they'd have stripped it down, they could have made it a bit more engaging, a bit more
Yeah,
emotional.
yeah, totally.
Okay, so out of 10.
Oh gosh, 6.5.
Wow, okay. I
Yeah.
was expecting more than that. I think I'm only going to go for a 7. I was really hoping to go higher than that, but I do think this film is let down by the opening sort of 45 minutes an hour.
You should never start a Star Wars film without having scrolling
No,
titles.
that's been confirmed. None of the anthology films, A Star Wars Story, will have a scroll.
Why?
The scrolls are only for what they are calling saga films, which is the main
It's ridiculous.
episodes 1 through 8, 9.
That's insane.
They will all have a long time ago,
like
you know,
Gears
in a
of Par-
galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, whatever. They'll have that. That's going to be on all of them. But the scroll to explain is only going to be for saga films.
Wow, I think that's a mistake.
Do
I
you?
think I do, because I think you tell the story, and I think it's a tag. It's a tag that you associate with it. It's like Mad Mike going to the ring. Mad Mike, I don't know
Your
who Mad
former-
Mike is.
your
My former
former
incarnation.
alter
It's like
ego.
me going down to the ring without my orange bodysuit. It's
So you
there's
feel
that
it's-
association.
So you feel it's that intrinsic to the Star Wars
yeah.
film franchise.
Everyone expects it. That's what Star Wars is all about. It's what it's always been about. Every Star Wars film's come out, it's always gone.
Right. That is another really interesting point, actually. That we've given it a score, but I'm going to go back to one more thing, actually. That I was a bit, I didn't struggle with, but composer. Right. So this film was done by. Oh bloody! I'm going to spell
Yeah, it
it.
wasn't
Michael
done by-
Giacchino.
wasn't done-
It's not John Williams. This
No,
is
it
the
wasn't.
first Star Wars film to not be done by John Williams.
Yeah.
But the guy who did it, I have liked his soundtracks. So the guy who's doing it, the scores he has done,
Did he do
has
Lost?
He's done Lost. He also did both the new Star Wars films.
Star Trek?
Star Trek. Sorry, my apologies. He's done the Star Trek films. So he's done. You know, I'm looking. He's done Cloverfield. I like the stuff. Yeah, so he did. He's done some of the Mission Impossibles. So he's done some good stuff. But basically, there were points in this film where he was clearly aping
doing
John
John
Williams.
Williams, yeah.
He was doing a John Williams.
So I didn't know it was John Williams, but I know the person you're talking about when you mentioned his name.
Yeah.
And totally, it was just cloning John Williams.
In a
That's
lot
what
of
he was
places.
doing, yeah.
He
And
veers off
why
into
did John
something-
Williams not do it?
I don't know. Probably doing episode 8.
Yeah, to be honest with you, yeah, because that's filming at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I think as well, John Williams probably watched a sort of like a
If you say Death Star one more time, I'm
What?
going to ram this microphone somewhere where the sun don't shine.
No, I wasn't going to say anything about the Death Star. But I don't know.
I think
mean,
it was a good score. I
Yeah.
thought, it was, especially again, the soundtrack, the score to the battle at the end was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
But it's very individualistic, though. It didn't feel like, even though we got John Williams-esque, which is a great influence to have, by the
Yeah.
way, it didn't feel like it was any of the soundtrack from any of the other films. You only had little bars of the other films coming in at certain points. You know?
Whenever they introduced the cameos,
gratuitous cameos.
Whenever they did the cameos, Darth Vader, the Imperial March was sort of like,
you have to have the Imperial March.
You sort of got a bit of it. But there was other things, like say,
R2-D2, C-3PO.
Oh, that one was just. Yeah, that was a pointless one. That was a pointless one.
Yeah. Oh, well, I suppose no. Thinking about it, they've established that they are there.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is the linkage towards the end of the film.
Why not have that? But why not have that instead of having the scene, which is they go off. Rogue One is established. And they fly off to take on the mission, and then it pans back to having C-3PO saying, "Well, they're off to Scarif. No one ever tells me anything. Why would anyone tell you anything, you pillock?" But I reckon they could have just had those in the background.
You pillock. What a British thing to say.
It is, yeah. C-3PO
is a pillock.
Is one of the most irritating characters. I can't...
Or Jar Jar Binks is probably.
For me, I have to admit, he's not as bad, but he's almost in that ballpark at times. I find him incredibly irritating. Okay, so we've gone through that. I think I would say worth seeing. I would say worth seeing in conjunction with New Hope.
I'd say get it on Blu-ray. Don't go to cinema and see it. Get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, okay.
Get it on Blu-ray and watch it in connection with New Hope and see the linkage that way. I think on Blu-ray as well, you could probably scroll through. Hopefully they won't make the same mistake as they made with Batman vs Superman and release a special extended edition, because that would be even worse.
The 3-hour edition, where they actually have another 4 scenes
in the beginning.
At the beginning,
not at the end.
They show Forrest Whitaker saving the young girl another 8 times.
Yeah, from different angles.
Yeah, from different angles, and it takes up another 40 minutes.
You too can play Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. Oh god. Okay, so I think that wraps up our Star Wars Rogue One review, a spoiler review. This is a bit of a special. I didn't mean to do this.
Didn't even mean to do it, did we? So we're just like, it's just there.
We're seeing it, so we'll do it. So,
indeed.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Cool.
And this is Christmas. This is a Christmas treat. Merry Christmas.